previous pieces here on the While it has primarily been investigated from an academic lens, intellectual ideas are less commonly conveyed in creative places in history or other art forms. Similarly, music, while used to evoke emotion, inspire reflection, or symbolize experiences, is underutilized in conveying intellectual ideas. In order to explore how intellectual ideas, specifically those concerning human evolution, could be explored through musical composition, I set out to compose a piece that reflected these scholarly thoughts in a unique and creative way. This is Human Evolution in Musical Portrait. My name is Chloe Rover, and I'm a double major in anthropology and history. So through my anthropological coursework, I've had the opportunity to broaden my understanding of the story of human evolution as well as ideas about man as human. Well, prior to this project, I had no compositional skills. As a clarinetist with over a decade of experience, including experience playing in the ensembles here at URI, I had a strong understanding of the transformative nature of musical composition and musical expression. I also have a love for combining diverse fields in novel ways, and so my project was both spurred by and fostered my passion for interdisciplinary studies. And so through these factors, I felt confident that I would be able to thoughtfully select key ideas of human evolution and expand my musical knowledge in terms of the art music composition. So through first gaining proficiency with MuseScore, a free and open source music notation program, I then needed to isolate essential ideas of human evolution to convey through my piece. Furthermore, I wanted to preserve and make my musical reimaginings accessible through the generation of formal recording for which I needed to consult community musicians more than rehearse the recording case. And so, through this process, I wanted to enrich myself in a variety of different skills, ranging from music composition to proper music notation, to how does one actually convey intellectual ideas through music, as well as gain insight into the production of recording. So all this effort culminated in my four-movement piece with a 15-minute runtime for a small chamber ensemble of clarinet, flute, alto saxophone, trumpet, and trombone. And so through these four movements, I was able to address a wide variety of evolutionary themes, from bipedalism to evolutionary change, beliefs, and to imagination and communication through language. And through hiring 5 URI musicians, I was also able to generate a formal recording. So before I describe my movements to you, I want to first thank everybody who made this project happen. So first, I would like to thank the 5 instrumentalists who, for their time, effort, and musical prowess in learning, rehearsing, and recording the piece. So thank you to Justin, Kat, Reed, Emily, and Liam. I also would like to thank URI's recording engineer, Ethan Hicks, for volunteering his time to both facilitate the recording session and for mixing and putting together the audio recording. And finally, I would like to thank my sponsor, Dr. David Gilliland, for his generous patience, guidance, and encouragement throughout this project. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with such an amazing musician, educator, and individual. So my first movement is entitled L'arbre à l'herbe, which means tree to grass, and focuses on ideas of bipedalism, which is upright walking on 2 feet. So it saw that early human ancestors were likely significantly arboreal, but environmental changes brought them to the ground. So this movement begins with a serene theme meant to convey ideas of arboreality, which then becomes more complex and uncertain, to represent the environmentally variable types that accompany evolutionary change. So from here, the alto saxophone introduces a musical motif to convey bipedal footsteps. And from here, the other instruments layer in their characteristic themes before joining in on this motif to signify this transition to bipedalism, which we hear here. From here, I wanted to signify some of the advantages of bipedalism, such as having hands-free for tool use. So through this, I wanted to convey ideas of hunt, so I introduced ideas of trumpet as the animal footsteps, and trombone as the animal calls being pursued by human footsteps as conveyed by the alto saxophone, who would chase down and hunt this creature, ultimately delivering the killing blow, as put here. So this movement ends with the creature's final footsteps and dying calls, ending on a celebratory note on the success of the hunt and referencing the ideas of how bipedalism was instrumental to allowing this to happen. So movement 2 is entitled "De l'ancêtre aux échos," from ancestor to echoes, and it focuses on the idea that 6 to 7 million years ago, the human and chimpanzee evolutionary lineages split from a human-chimpanzee last common ancestor to create the two distinct species we see today that are in many ways different yet still similar. So I wanted to mimic this idea through comparing the sound of the clarinet and alto saxophone through a duet that meant to invoke ideas of evolutionary change over deep time. So I accomplished this through the repetition of an 8-measure phrase and a brief pause after it. So while the clarinet and the alto saxophone begin in unison to reflect these ideas of the last common ancestor as we're here. Over the course of the movement, both of these melodies are seen to evolve in terms of dynamics, rhythm, and pitch to create two distinct melodies representing this evolutionary change over deep time. So this movement ends with the superposition of this evolved melody with the original melody as a way of echoing back to ideas of our ancestors as well as shared evolutionary traits across species. The third movement, entitled the L'Orage Petit ou Storm de Toul, focuses on ideas of harnessing fire as well as the creation of stone tools. So it's theorized that fire was first harnessed by human beings for lightning strikes, carrying live coals between encampments to keep the fire going. So this movement starts off with a representation of a thunderstorm with a dissociated lightning strike, from which the flute takes on a fire theme, going from a glowing ember to a growing fire. And through this, this harnessing of fire is met with a response of human exuberance from the alto saxophone, trumpet, and trombone. And then as the fire theme minimizes and diminishes, we enter this idea of the transport of these live coals. And then once these coals reach their desired location, the fire is reset again and the lively melody returns, ultimately conveying these ideas of transport. From here, I wanted to address the second portion of this movement, which is the creation of stone tools through percussive means. So I conveyed this through the use of percussive melodies in the clarinet, trombone, and alto saxophone to represent the idea of basically making the stone tools by a campfire. From here, I combined the ideas of the exuberance of harnessing fire and the creation of stone tools in order to underscore the importance of both of these technologies in propelling human advancement. My final movement was entitled L'Inception à la Réalisation, Conception for Realization, and focuses on ideas of human capacity for imagination and communication through writing. So the movement begins with a fanciful exchange of whimsical, conversational, and imaginative lines between the clarinet and flute, before this conversation transitions between the flute, trumpet, and trombone. And then this is layered by an overlapping separate conversation between the clarinet, flute, and alto saxophone. So from here, the movement is seen to grow in complexity to reflect the ideas of intricacies that accompany human language development. This movement then transitions into a secondary idea of expressing the human capacity for abstract thought, specifically in the idea of storytelling or dream, where one is able to conceptualize ideas that are not physically present. So this was accomplished by bringing back themes from the previous three movements as in telling a story. So this movement ends with a return to that same fanciful exchange between the flute and clarinet as a final indication about communication through language and imagination. So overall, the first game of proficiency in music score, I was able to successfully and efficiently create a 4-movement composition in which I conveyed my musical reimagining of the story of human evolution. And through this, I was also able to successfully collaborate with many talented URI musicians to generate a formal recording and learn more about the recording process. And overall, through this process, I was able to develop experimentation, and dexterity in conveying intellectual ideas through musical composition. And this project overall has been incredibly illuminating and challenging me both intellectually and creatively. And this unique experience has truly been amazing. It's been incredible to see everything come together and hear musicians play the music I wrote. It's just been insane. And I've taken great joy in being able to share ideas of human evolution through a non-academic platform. So I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I would encourage you all to either scan the QR code or head downstairs to the third floor lounge to listen to the piece in its entirety. And if anyone would like to look through the score, I have a printed copy over there. Thank you all.
So why don't we have our students come back up?